Are you gonna have like a music kind of playing, intro or something,
Actually, the intro is going to be your voice asking me if I'm going to have a little bit of.
You're gonna get more professional with it, Come on.
I can see.
Make one.
I can see the way this one's going to be because we're already live. Just so you know, yeah. Look.
You should just have music to introduce everyone.
Well, look, I'm very happy and very willing to do a music one when somebody who can do music does it. We've already got 4 viewers. Hi, Comfort.
Hi, Comfort.
Good afternoon, greetings, people. Apologies for the delay. I had a couple issues that I won't get into, but I'm here.
Claudine, you're muted, just so you know. Okay, look, thank you all for joining us. I know people have already joined. Andrew, it looks like someone beat you to joining this week. Andrew is our reigning champion for joining first, but this week he's been beaten. So yeah, thank you all for joining. Look, we've been doing a series of these talks each Sunday, and I'd like to think they're going well. And this week, I thought we would concentrate very much on business. We've talked about couples in the lockdown. We've talked about mental well-being. We've talked about home education. And I think, yeah, now's a good time to start talking about business. I don't think it's premature to say that it looks like some sort of release, and I use the word with a little smile in my head, is due to come soon, couple of weeks maybe. And in the news we've talked a lot and heard a lot about how businesses are faring. Certainly a lot of big businesses are under a lot of pressure. And I think sometimes when big businesses take the headlines, very often the smaller businesses don't actually get the same sort of focus as they probably deserve, considering the fact that small businesses make up the bulk of businesses in the UK. And particularly as people of African descent, small businesses tend to be where we shine quite a lot. Yeah, we got a few guys in the big, huge corporates, but we make a really good, strong little move out of let me just make this public. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, so we thought we'd take a look at business as it affects us as a people. I got a range of people on the line today. I'm so happy that they were all able to join. V, your video and your sound is off. I'm about to do intro, so you might need to sort that out. And I think I'll start in the order in which they joined. And so I'm going to start with a returnee, as we like to call her. I don't know what I did, why they thought they'd come back, but Claudine Reed, MBE. Yeah, like your right title, MBE.
That's all right. That's all right.
Tell us about yourself and what you do, Claudine.
Hi, Paul. Thank you so much for having me on your platform today. So I'm Claudine Reed, and for the last 25 years, along with my husband, Patrick, we've been running a community service, PJ's Community Services. We provide care to people and care and support to people in the community. So we have a couple of contracts with local authorities, different homes, children's homes, not older people's homes, but adult homes for maybe people with mental health challenges. We also do a lot of training and personal development around social enterprise, leadership development. And yeah, that's it. For the last 25 years, we've kept ourselves busy.
Okay, thank you, Claudine. The gentleman was next. Festus, tell us about yourself.
Well, hi, everyone. And thanks, Paul, for inviting me onto your very famous show.
The check's in the post, dude.
Yeah, my name is Festus Akingbusoye. I run a security and risk management company. I have been doing that since 2003, I think. But I actually first ventured into business when I was 16 years old, and that didn't quite work out. And then I started again when I was 19, and that didn't quite work out. And then I started again when I was about 23 or so, and here I am. I've got about 60 employees that work for me, right from, we've got staff in Wales, in Scotland, right all over England. And my business, I believe I am the single largest provider of that service in the cinema industry in the UK. So I service all the View cinemas in the country and about 2/3 of the Showcase cinemas in the UK as well.
Thank you, Festus. Big things. Zena, you're on mute, so you might want to come off mute and introduce yourself.
Everybody. Hi, I am Zena Gooding-Broderick. I am one of 3 owners of Gooding Funeral Services. I'm a funeral director and I own that business with my husband and with my sister. It's a bricks and mortar business, as you've probably gathered, but I'll probably talk a little bit more about how this recent situation has affected that business, along with another business which I own, which is Mother of Abundance, where I support ambitious mothers, and they define ambition. I don't define that. I'm an executive coach. And so I have an online business and I have an offline business.
Thank you, Zena. Marcia Brown.
Hello. Thank you, Paul, for the invite today. So my name is Marcia Brown of Marcia Brown Footwear, and I actually make handmade shoes for people who have feet challenges, let's say, foot challenges. So,
size 15?
Yes, whatever size. So people who are shoe fashionistas, so they are specially looking for a designed style. Specialist footwear, so let me just talk about that a little bit more. So I have actually got bunions and I could not find shoes to fit my feet. So I decided to make a pair of shoes. And as a result of making those shoes, I was super, super pleased. And that is why I've chosen specialist footwear. So my background is cake making. So I am really a cake specialist. And I have been a cake specialist for about 10 years. But my specialist in cakes is handbag and shoe cakes. And as a result of making the shoes were just ordinary shoes, and then they grew to all colourful shoes, and then they grew to shoes with bling bling, and then people just said, we have had enough. And we have leather shoes. So that's why I'm here today as Marcia Brown Footwear.
Just so you know, it was Angela from Team who recommended I contact you for this show today. So nothing is accidental.
Yes, that's right. And I thank Angela's platform Team, because they have got an amazing group of Black entrepreneurs who are doing some great things. So thank you to Team.
Perfect. Comfort, over to you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Sidel, otherwise known as Comfort, and I am a possibility ambassador, a business process strategist, and a virtual assistant agency and coach. So I wear lots of hats, but they all interlink with each other. I have transitioned from being an executive assistant into being a virtual assistant into now being a business process strategist, which means I help small business owners, service-based business owners, to systemize and automate their businesses and provide virtual assistant support via my team to help them keep their businesses running in an efficient fashion. And I also train people who want to transition from being an employed executive assistant or personal assistant or administrative professional into being a virtual professional in the same world.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, and she knows I've been teasing her on the private chat. Yeah, I won't say anything more about that. V Roberts. V, you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the other panelists as well. Paul, you're so lucky to get me here on a Sunday, you know, because I'm finishing off my dinner. But I'm here and I'm glad to be here. So for those of you that don't actually know of me, my name's V Roberts. I'm actually a branding and marketing consultant and coach. I'm also an accredited mentor for the likes of Virgin Business Startup, NatWest Bank and the Sherry Blair Foundation. And I'm an author as well. I've got my own book, self-published, which is the Brand and Marketing Planner. Lots of lipstick on my teeth. And I actually do help entrepreneurs, women in particular, to get better results from their branding and marketing. So anyone really who is needing clarity around planning, building a brand from scratch, or even revamping a brand can actually connect with me and get lots of free tips via my different platforms, but also do paid work as well.
Thank you very much, V. I think it's only appropriate that I introduce myself beyond just being the host. My name is Paul Lawrence, for those who don't know. I'm a chatterbox on Facebook. I spend my entire life on Facebook doing nothing but Facebook. That is it. In my spare time.
Very true.
Yeah, thank you. In my spare time, I run two other businesses. One, a lot more of you may know of, and that's Just Tickets, which is a platform where you can post your events, buy tickets, and sell tickets rather, more or less hands-free. The other one few people know about, and that's as an IT consultant. So I run a company called Engage IT, provides IT project managed consultative services to a wide range of companies and organizations. So that's me in a nutshell. I think I'm going to start with V. V, first in, last out. That's the way we're going to run it. I guess the question for today, and the question that I've gathered you all here today to talk about, is there's no avoiding it. We're in the COVID lockdown. Even if it wasn't a lockdown, I know people like myself, I wouldn't be going out anyway. How's this whole thing affected your business? What have you had to change? You're on mute.
To be honest with you, it's affected it in a good way because obviously I'm in the business of offering consumers who are thinking of starting a business, but also businesses support. So in the current climate where a lot of us have been forced to go online and, you know, produce videos where perhaps we weren't producing videos before, or build digital products where perhaps we were always offline doing expos and exhibitions, or even just using social media a lot more and knowing how to combine and integrate email marketing, for example, with social media. People are now coming to me, literally flocking to me. I've actually got my calendar. I've had to open up more entries on the diary because people are familiar that that's something that I do specialize in. And when it comes to kind of online and offline marketing, that's my bag. So building strategies and helping people to really monetize their brand, no matter what the climate. So have I got time to give you one example?
You do indeed.
Yeah. So I've got several, but I will give you one.
Your dinner go burn, not mine.
No, I turned it down. So I've got a stylist that I work with who runs a really beautiful salon down in Enfield, and she was very, very keen to keep her store open for as long as she could because obviously she's doing hair, it's very hands-on, and she would lose clients, or so she thought. What we did was we came up with a solution whereby she could actually still offer clients a platform to engage with her. She started doing videos to actually educate people about home care, DIY style. And in addition to that, she's now selling the products that were in her shop. So the products that clients would normally buy when they come along for a wash and curl or, you know, a relaxer, they are now able to buy from her. So she's actually able to service them still via having an online shop, which is just being built now. So that's one example. And then I work with like nail salons and also coaches that were previously only coaching face-to-face. Two other examples. You know, a lot of us are now having to, if we want to stay in business, bring our businesses online. So it's about looking at how you can actually work now in this climate and be relevant. Even if you didn't previously have an online portal or a shop front online, it's about making yourself relevant and also thinking about, I guess, what is most appropriate now, because for some of us, it's not about selling. For some of us, it's actually about just maintaining momentum, which is something that I've recently delivered a good presentation on. It's about maintaining momentum so that people still remember you when this all dies down. Because some of us really aren't in the right frame of mind to be selling and, you know, going into groups and talking and doing online networking. And that's completely fine because we'll all react to this current pandemic in different ways. But then I would still say, rather than completely slow down, you know, and stop, continue building momentum, continue speaking to people, continue finding out what's going on in your industry and sharing useful content whenever you can at a pace that actually suits you. So in answer to your question, because of that, I'm doing a lot of work with business owners at the moment, and my free group that I run on Facebook is absolutely popping with different challenges that we're running that are specifically based on branding and marketing as well.
Good, cool. Look, that sounds productive. Sidel, Comfort, whatever you want to be called today, over to you.
Repeat the question for me.
The question was, how has the current situation affected your business positively or negatively?
It's been a mixed bag, to be really honest. When this first happened, everybody said, oh my God, you work 100% remotely, you're 100% virtual, you'll be fine. People are going to need your services more than ever, which is true. But there was also an element of shock, and people kind of just froze like a rabbit in headlights, and people didn't really know what to do. They don't want to spend money. And for some of my clients, they lost clients, so that has a ripple effect. And then so some of the clients I had kind of paused their services whilst they kind of figure out what they're going to do. People are looking at their cash flow, etc. And then I gained clients who were not previously online and who needed to bring their services online. So in helping them to put their events on a video platform similar to Zoom, or to run their live events on a platform where they could interact with their audiences. They didn't have payment gateways set up. They didn't know anything about landing pages or how to communicate with people in a different way. And for a lot of people, it's not just the physical aspect of talking to people in a different medium, but the tech is really frightening for a lot of people, and they shut down. So I've been spending a lot of time teaching people how to do that. So it's been very up and down. It's been mixed. I can't say that I've had lots of new business as a result, because that's kind of replaced some of the business that's been put on hold.
Yeah, I think my experience, before I go to Marcia, my experience has been similar. So the website platform has more or less, in terms of Just Tickets, for the first time in the 3 years that we had it, we had 19 days of zero revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we were revenue negative because there were a lot of cancellations, having to process a lot of refunds. But I think after the first 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I spoke to some of my regular customers, and I sat them down and I said, look, you know, you can do what you do online.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say over the last week and a half, it's been reversed now. We're almost back to normal levels of, certainly normal levels of events. We're definitely back to normal level of events, and we're almost back to normal levels of income. And that's simply because, you know, we've all taken the shock of being locked down, and in our business, we can do that. My IT consultative business, that's fine because remotely. And so I've seen nothing there. So, you know, it's affected in a different way, because even though perhaps before this, I would have said I wanted to work remotely 100%. Now I know I do not want to work remotely 100%. I don't want to be in the house. I hope she's not listening. I don't want to be in the house 100%. Don't laugh, Claudine. Don't encourage him. Because it's very different. It's very, very different working and knowing you can't go out.
I think it's the knowing that you can't go out that's different though, Paul, because I worked 100% remotely before. I previously had a co-working space, so even though I was 100% remotely, I still got up every day, left my house, went there, came home, and had a differentiation between my home space and work. But then 2 months, 3 months leading up to the pandemic, I had moved back into working in my home office. And so it has not been any different. It's a mental shift, because I was at home 24/7 already. But now the idea that it's not okay to go outside quiet. So, and I'm on self-isolation anyway. So it's been coming up to 6 weeks I've been in the house. That feels very different.
Indeed. Marcia, tell us about your business and tell us about how, if at all, it has been affected by what's going on.
Okay, so at the moment where I am with my business, I have been working at home Monday to Friday. So I am actually a remote worker. So in terms of how I have been affected, to tell you the truth, there has not been any difference. The only difference for me is not being able to come out of the house, go and speak to suppliers, because I actually like to physically get up and go and speak to suppliers, speak to people, just to gain knowledge and helped me to progress more with the business. At the moment at home, I am producing prototypes. So just to go back a little bit, I've made 2 shoes from start to finish. One of them has actually been delivered to the client, and that's just before COVID-19 erupted, or rather, should I say, full lockdown came along. So they actually received their shoe. They were absolutely fine with it and happy and so on. So now what's happening is I'm building more prototypes along with working on another 2 shoes for 2 other clients. And to tell the truth, this time is actually helping to, let me just say that a lot of people are now becoming accustomed to remote working from home. This time for them is unusual because they've had to make changes. So now there's a lot of people wanting to, or should I say, wanting me to get involved in working with them on their platforms and so on. So I'm kind of finding it very, very busy. Very busy. So just to move on a bit. So let's just say what I've actually learned during this time. I have actually been to online class learning to draw. And as a result of this has helped me to produce about 11 different drawings to learn to make men's shoes. So I was not going into, I did not want to learn to make men's shoes, but my thinking has totally shifted on with the men's designs. Also putting patterns together, putting colors together and so on. It's just been amazing for me. I'm an introvert, so I am actually loving it. I'm going to be truthful. I'm loving it.
Look, I think that the reality is that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And so you learn to draw, moving on to the men's shoes. That's really cool. We do with it what we can. Festus, sir,
yeah,
you're up.
Well, in my case, I mean, I have got probably about 40 to 50 general managers right across the country that I was working with on a day-to-day basis, right? And about 60 members of staff overall in my company alone, and about 3 or 4 area managers. The general managers were clients, so they're the general managers for each of the cinemas, for example, right? Of course, within a day, all of that had to shut down, okay? And then staff had to stay home. So a lot of what I'm having to do now is a huge amount of employee relations. I have a lot of staff working for me. And for me, it's been more of a case of twofold. One, to ensure that the relationship with clients remain warm during the cold period, right? Because I fully expect that the restrictions will be lifted at some point. And so as a business person, one of the things that you have to do is that, well, when business isn't taken over as normal, what are you doing in between to keep in contact with your clients? Right. So what I have been doing is that I'm sending text messages to some of my clients every now and again, say, hey, how are you guys doing? Hope you and your family are doing well. Those little things might seem like trivial, but actually they appreciate that.
Yes.
Right. So you're constantly just reinforcing the business relationships. And in my opinion, I think the reason why I have been able to stay in business for this long in a hugely competitive industry is because of those personal relationships you have with clients over a period of time. So we actually know each other beyond the pounds and hours worked and invoices alone. So I've been doing a lot of that. And in terms of my employee relations, there was, as you can expect, a huge number of them were very, very anxious about what's going to happen to their jobs. And there were all kinds of rumors going on about the furlough scheme, Many of them didn't even know what it was or how they thought they had to apply for it. So a lot of my job has been with working with my accountants to make sure that all of our staff know about the furlough scheme, those that are being furloughed or those who are going to go on to work elsewhere, trying to maintain that. But also a huge part of what I'm having to do now is to make sure that should the government lift all restrictions tomorrow, my business is ready to go straight away.
Yeah.
And I think some people will probably they will lose out because they will be caught sleeping when the restrictions are lifted because they are not ready. So, and I know that for me to be ready when the restrictions are lifted is that I have to make sure that I have my employees who are ready to go to work straight away. And I have clients who are ready to have us back doing what we've always done for the last almost 20 years.
Yeah,
so those have been what we've been doing a lot of, yes.
Yeah, I think that links back into something that V said earlier, and Comfort about maintaining relationships, because those are the things that you're going to need. You know, forget if you're able to do something now, but certainly in terms of restart, yeah, and I'm sure everybody's anxious to restart as soon as possible as it is. You have to be maintaining those relationships. Your business is very different from V's, from Comfort's, and certainly from Marcia's. And I want to go to someone who comes from God's own country. Her husband always tells me, yeah, I tell him that he lives in the country and it's the bush. He likes to tell me that it's God's own country. And it's a funny thing, he doesn't even live in Jamaica. Yeah, he lives in some place called Leeds. I don't know where that is. It's somewhere up north. And so Zena, tell us again about your business, because some of the listeners may not remember what you do. Just tell us a little bit about your business and how the situation affected it as it stands.
Okay, so we own a funeral parlour, Gooding Funeral Services. We're based in Leeds. We've done funerals as far away as London before, done Manchester and Sheffield, and closer to home like Bradford and Huddersfield. How this has affected our business? Well, there's been lots of mixed messages from the government as things were changing. So my profession has entirely changed. We had to try our best to stay safe, and like other frontline workers, we were finding it difficult to get hold of PPE, which is personal protective equipment. So getting things like face masks and stuff. My professional body had to take notice of my business putting a rocket up their bums and saying, you've got to go to Parliament and get us access to PPE, otherwise we're not going to be able to collect people, we're not going to be able to service cremations or burials. You've got to help. So we now have access to the NHS supply chain as a profession. We're now able to safely do what we need to do. We've had to move online, so we've had to do Zoom training. Most of the team now work from home. Those of us who have client-facing roles work from home now. Those of us who collect, we've got just about all of the equipment that we need, although that's still tricky. We might pay way over the odds to stay safe and to keep our clients safe. Client-facing role. So with that in mind, my business has changed considerably. It didn't help that myself and my husband and my sister all got COVID-19. So we were struggling to work whilst very ill, but we'd managed to already move the team online, and we do 11s at 11 o'clock every weekday. So we'll come with our tea and fruit or biscuits or whatever, and we'll come together in a Zoom chat and speak to each other and check in on how we're doing, because we are quite up on soft skills because we're in a caring profession. And then, see how we can help people better, because it's a really difficult time, not only because people are social distancing, but because people are social distancing, they may not have seen a loved one for a few weeks. that loved one may go into hospital. They still cannot visit that loved one. That loved one may die and they still can't see that loved one. And then they're having to do a funeral where they can't attend, or they're having to cut down massive families to, before it was 20 in Leeds, now it's 10 people who are allowed at the graveside. And then they've got to work out between them, who are these 10 people going to make up? And in some local authorities, the number is less than 10. And certainly here in Leeds, it's direct cremations now. So no one's able to attend at the crematorium either. So the way that the profession has been impacted is huge. The way I've been impacted is huge because I got COVID. I've got a sister who's in hospital now with it. I've got my uncle in New York who's died. Don't know what's going to happen with him. I want to say on an up note though, and I've been trying to keep an eye on what's being said on the Facebook page as well. And I know somebody was asking about customer service. Is it key? Is it important? Yes, it is. It's front and center of everything that any business person worth their salt will be doing. And COVID might make that more challenging, but it should not change that. The clients have to remain the focus. So for example, in from my perspective, yeah, getting PPE is challenging, but it's not nearly as challenging as losing a loved one. There's just no comparison at all. So we have made connections with our clients a lot easier. We've got a COVID page on our website to give them up-to-date information. We check that every day. We make sure that I'm also co-chair of Leeds Bereavement Forum, which is really fantastic charity that helps people who are bereaved. And working with them is something I'm really proud to do, and I can signpost people really well. Some of my team have been furloughed. We're taking advantage of the fact that the government is giving 80%. We're topping it up so that they get 100% of what they would have earned anyway. We pride ourselves in being a funeral parlour that has always kept its blinds open, so people could always see inside the windows, and we weren't ever spooky or you know, some sort of strange outfit. We try to be open and less scary. And now our windows are closed because sometimes we're not there during the day anymore. So we've made sure that we've put, you know, we love the NHS up in the window. We've got our rainbows up in there. We're trying to support, still remain the cornerstone of the community, and basically just adapt to helping people in a way that is appropriate for the current climate. And as long as I'm able to draw breath, and my sister and my husband, that will never change. We will always keep clients front and center. I have another business. I'm an executive coach. I support ambitious mothers on a website called Mother of Abundance. And I allow the mothers to, as I've said before, they define ambition. I don't define it. So whether they want to raise the best children in the world and do that full time, or whether they're climbing the corporate ladder or they're building a business, it's irrelevant to me. I just support them as best as I can. And I wanted to reach out to them and help them, but I was so sick and having to deal with the funeral business, that sort of became all encompassing really. That, as well as the fact that I'm homeschooling my son, which is keeping it real for a lot of the ambitious mothers that I support, having to balance business with childcare and with just family life as well. I wanted to check in with, but like I said, I was quite ill. So more recently, I've been able to again put my customer base, my client base front and center and say, look, I've been ill. I'm just checking to see how you guys are doing. I'm much better now. Are you guys okay? Do you need any help? Are there any resources that I can help you with? And the response was really positive, and the requests were really interesting as well, like people not knowing how to wind down at the end of the day because they've been working at home, they've been schooling their children at home, and then it's like, right, so what's next? What have I got to do next? You know, helping with things like that. So both my businesses have been impacted quite a lot to do with COVID and my ill health as well. But thank God, I'm much better now. So I hope
Look,
that's answered the question.
we're glad you're all better.
Thank you.
And do pass that on to Peter and the rest. Before I go to Claudine, I'm just going to point out that this program is brought to you by justtickets.com. And I stick that in. Look, my marketing people would tell me that I need to do that. But more importantly, one of the reasons why I did that just before I went to Claudine is because Claudine's company is actually hosting a Zoom tutorial, and the tickets are available on the website. So if you're thinking, boy, this looks really great, Zoom might be able to help me in my business or in my personal. I know people have used Zoom just to get their family together. You know, families have been, I've attended 60th birthday parties on Zoom. Last week, Friday, I did a quiz on Zoom. Yep. So I don't work for Zoom and Zoom don't pay me. But what I do know is that Claudine has a event on my site, which does pay me, yep, on how to use Zoom. So go check out Claudine's event and, you know, make sure that you got a little bit of paper or whatever you want, because all of the people on this call, if you want to contact them, we should be able to get some details, because what they all do is very, very different, very disparate, but actually very, very important. And one of the reasons why I'm quite happy with the range of people I have on the call today is because they don't do what we consider to be the traditional Black people businesses. And I'm very, very, you know, yeah, Comfort, you can sit there and laugh. But there was a time when you looked around and you would thought all we do is the same old, same old. Yep. And so I was very, very pleased when, you know, Angie Clark gave me Marcia, who does something very, very different. Zena up in Leeds does something very, very different. Fest does something very different. Everybody's bringing different bits and pieces. And I think, you know, beyond the COVID conversation that we're having, I think it's very important for our young people to see that there's a diversity in terms of what they can do and what they can achieve. I think it's very, very important that they understand that they can do a lot of diverse things and that we can run companies successfully. Yeah, there was a question on the feed about fail and failure. And, you know, Zena put something which is like, we're not the right people to answer that question because none of us are on that sort of train. Yeah. As long as I've known everybody on this call, and I've known most of them for quite a while, only Marcia is relatively new to me. Yeah. But I've known these people for quite a while, and they've been running their businesses and looking after themselves and their families, and more importantly, their communities. And I think oftentimes that is forgotten, that one of the strengths and one of the useful things about Black business is that it gives the people, when they are successful, not if, when they are successful, the opportunity to give back to their communities. Yep. And they give back in a variety of ways. You know, it doesn't have to be financial. It can be any number of ways they give back. And so before I go on, Claudine, tell us about your business and how you reshaped it, aside from the advert on Just Tickets.
Thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate that. So, you know, for the last 25 years, Patrick and I have been running community services, and the ability to be flexible and pivot in any business is really quite important. And so because we've learned that through the course of the last 25 years, when we arrive at this point of COVID, it wasn't strange for us to have to pivot. It wasn't strange for us to have to move or be a bit more flexible or agile in terms of what we would have done. So, and I think it might be helpful for me to add that prior to COVID, I had just had major surgery. I found out in September that I had breast cancer. So I was already kind of reframing my business, reframing what I needed to do. This was way before we had ever kind of believed that COVID was coming to the shores of the UK. So I had surgery in December, and by that time I had already handed over a significant chunk of my work And let me just throw in, it's my business, right? So I have already handed over a significant chunk of my work to my fantastic team. I have around 70 staff who I feel responsible for. Paul, you said, you know, we're not only looking after ourselves. I feel very, very responsible for my staff. I think one of the worst things that I would have to do is tell them on any given day that we don't have any finance to pay you, or the business isn't strong enough to continue to support you in the way that we have been doing for the last 25 years. One of my members of staff, she's been with us for 18 years. And I think somebody was talking about customer services. Customer services isn't only about those people who are buying from you, but it's also about making sure you look after your staff in the best way that you can. So by the time we arrived at COVID and the impact that it was having on the country, I had already handed over a significant amount of my work responsibility to my team. And sorry about the noise in the background. My neighbours just decided, this is what happens, right, when you sit outside. I hope you can still hear me.
But hear you very clearly, very clearly.
Okay, that's good. All right. So the way how COVID had impacted us was just that I closed down my office, but my field staff, who are frontline key workers and support staff, my responsibility to them was to make sure that whatever PPE they needed, we had it in abundance. And I think it was Zena, you were talking about the challenges of trying to get PPE and making sure we had it in abundance. And yeah, there have been some people who've set astronomical prices. You know, I used to be able to buy hand sanitizer for £1. Now I can see it for £8 and £6 and all kind of crazy stuff. But you've got to make it work. And so, you know, we've been able to negotiate some good deals, not quite £1, but we've been able to make sure the numbers work right for us. And so on a daily basis, again, like Zena, we have a daily meeting with my office team who then go on to support the wider field staff team. So I still feel like I've come back to work earlier than I would have, but I'm working from home. I don't feel the pressure that I would have as if I had to go into the office. So the way how COVID has impacted my care business, the numbers have gone up, right? Because we're providing essential care to vulnerable members of the community. We service children's homes. The hospital is discharging patients who are either COVID positive or negative, asking us to look after them. I have a COVID response team. They are my team who we make sure we look after in the best way that we possibly can to ensure that they can service those clients who are coming out of hospital either positive or negative. And at the same time, making sure that we remain as compassionate as we possibly can, because the circumstances have changed. There's never been a time in our lives where we've had to say to our clients, you know, tell your family not to come and see you. We're trying to help you. Your family can't be coming in to visit you. We'll do everything that needs to be done. And so that was a little bit hard because I know what my family mean to me, and I wouldn't want anyone in the most challenging time of my life to say to me that you can't see your parents or you can't see your family members. And so we've been able to navigate that quite well. And I really want to stress it's because of the team that we have that have been able to make sure that happens. My online business, where I do a lot of leadership development and personal development training, has, thanks to Paul and the platform of Just Ticket, has gone up another level. I found opportunities that I perhaps would never have leveraged before if I was just focusing on my UK business. So more international opportunities, more international connections. We're working from home, right? It's not something I'm used to. It's not something I personally like, but you know, I'm flexible enough to adapt to the situation. But now, you know, you find things to do. So I found opportunities. I've gone back into my business card list that I never had time to file, right? And I've gone back to old ancient emails and like reignited some conversations that had kind of died, and they've worked out into good opportunities, increased visibility, increased opportunity to do more leadership development, personal development training. And I think after running a business for 25 years, you learn some stuff. We've seen recessions, we've come out of them. It hasn't always been rose-tinted glasses, but I think that's what business is about. It's about the flexibility, it's about being agile, it's about being able to respond to the crisis. We've never seen a situation like this before, ever in our lives. I pray God that we don't have to see one again. But through all of this, we've learned some significant things about us. Me, I've learned about myself, I've learned about my team. I've learned who are some value. I mean, my whole team's valuable, right? But I've seen how my personal circumstance in terms of my health has been able to impact on my team, and I've seen them just rise to the challenge. And it has been, from a business owner's perspective, it's a pleasure for me to watch my team shine bright. It gives me the opportunity to do other things like use Paul's platform, Just Tickets, and create more revenue streams.
Okay, look, guys, thank you so much for that. Look, what I'd like to do now, and this is not what I really planned, but I think it would be remiss of me having you guys on such a call. And I'm looking at some of the questions, some of the things that people are asking on the online stream. And I think it would be a good opportunity, you know, to offer the community, including myself and each other, any little bit of guidance about business, whether it's about what inspired you to start your business up, what do you think is the driving force behind a good business, what are the sort of tips that you would give to a young entrepreneur or someone in business who, and you know, forget the whole COVID thing, because COVID is one thing, it's gonna pass. But let's just talk generally. And I think some of the people in the chat really want to talk about. Yes, V, I see you. I see you. Yeah, yeah. And I don't want us to go too long, because as is with all these great conversations, time is really running. Yeah, and I know you know, V's food after Sarto. So V, quickly tell us what sort of quick tips. I want 2. I don't want 10. Just about 2 tips. And you're still on mute, by the way.
Thank you. So 2 quick tips from me. I'm a mother of 4, by the way, so I've been on mute and you've been seeing me disappear because I am listening in, but I don't want the background noise for you guys, and I know you wouldn't enjoy it. So 2 tips from me. The first one is understand your audience, and that doesn't matter whether it's coronavirus period or not. If you don't understand your audience and the climate you're in, then you could potentially be doing yourself a disservice. And let me very quickly explain that. If you've got a really brilliant product or service, if you have amazing staff that work in the team with you, or even if you work alone, if you are not promoting your business consistently to the right types of customers or the right potential customers, they won't see you, they won't engage with you, they won't resonate with what you're saying, and you'll find that you do not get the level of sales that you really desire, or you won't be able to make connections with people that you really deserve. The second thing is that if you're not already doing this, it's very, very important to make sure that you're clear on the resources you've got available. So a lot of us have had a change. As Claudine was saying, she's had to change from maybe being offline quite a lot and working in an office to being at home. Some of us have had to reduce our spend or increase our spend. And what's important is that we are clear as business owners, even if we're just starting out, what is available to us. So I would say the 2 key things are understand your audience, so that you, whatever time you have got, you're allocating, speaking to the right people. And secondly, make sure that you are clear on the resources you have. So in January, you may have had 6K a month, right? Or your target may have been to generate £600 a month. And now we're in April going into May. That may have changed, and hopefully it should have changed in some way. So you need to look at what you've got available coming in and going out, and making sure that you are allocating whatever time you've got available in the right way, right? Too many of us are relying only on social media, overdoing it and not seeing results. And we're still pushing on social media every day. We're not seeing the results and we're still pushing on. And to me, that's insanity. So really, it's about being clear. What resources have you got? Who should you be talking to? And there are other things as well, but I'll let others on the panel speak. And hopefully that will resonate with someone. Please be clear on who you're talking to, your audience, okay? And secondly, what resources you've got available.
And that other person would be Sidel.
Okay, so in terms of guidance around what you could be doing, this is specific to COVID. Use the time now to build your systems. Lots of people in their businesses, they are so engrossed in delivering their services, that they don't have any systems in place, and they always argue that they don't have the time to put them in place because they're busy servicing their clients. And my argument is always the same. You're never going to put them in, you're never going to find time if you don't take a step back. And the time that you're working with clients is the time you should be documenting what your customer journey looks like, what the process look like, what the steps are, what the interactions are. Document all of those steps and then work backwards and find a way to make them slicker, more efficient, less time intensive on you personally having to do them. Automate where you can, look at whether it's worthwhile having somebody else in your team to help you to deliver what you do. I find, and this is unfortunately a sticking point with Black people who run businesses specifically, in my experience, the argument tends to be, oh, well, why would I pay somebody else to do that when I know how to do it? And it's infuriating and so frustrating. Yes, you know how to do it, but it takes you 6 hours because it's not your expertise. You're amazing at this thing that you charge, I don't know, 150 quid upwards to do, but you're spending your time doing something that somebody else could do for £20 an hour. How does that make sense? It doesn't. It just doesn't. And they don't get it. It's like, yeah, but I know how to do it, so I'll just muddle through. And it's really difficult trying to challenge people's mindsets into shifting in a way that says, do the things that you're good at and let somebody else do the things that they're good at to help you achieve the aims and the goals and the aspirations that you have for your business. You've got to think wider than just you. You can't do everything yourself. And like they always say, one hand can't clap. I can't remember the name, Loretta, I can't remember the lady's name who.
Yeah, I remember Loretta, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, look at your system, what works. If you're having a quiet period now, take advantage of it. Look at what's working, what isn't working. If you don't know what it means to examine your systems, it sounds a little bit of a frightening phrase. It's like, systems, I don't have any systems in my business. Why would I need systems? I work with people face to face. All good businesses have systems. McDonald's taught me systems. I worked at McDonald's when I was still in school, when I started college, worked there for 3 years. Systems are the foundation of successful businesses like Google, like McDonald's, like Starbucks. And it sounds silly, but there's a process, pardon?
Like PJ's, my
yeah,
business.
like your business too. There's a system for everything. And when you get the system locked down, when you get the system on paper, anyone can do that system in your business. It does not have to be you. So if you were ill, for example, like Zena explained, she was unwell and there were parts of the business that had to be adjusted. There's somebody else that could do that. Your business wouldn't come to a standstill because you personally can't do that work. And I think that that's key, regardless of what else is going on. People have to take some time, take a step back and do it. And if you're engaging somebody else to help you with your running your business, give them a blueprint, give them something to start with. Don't hire a VA without any systems in your business. Don't think, oh, I can just get a cheap administrator for £10 an hour. They're not going to help your business, they're going to hinder you. You're going to feel like, why did I bother going down that road? I knew I should have just done it myself because that's what they convinced themselves in the first place. And then that person is being set up to fail because they don't have the tools to do a job well.
I think that is a awesome point. And I remember when I gave a talk at the team day up in Coventry, one of the things I asked people, the question is your business a business or is it a hobby? Because if it's a business, then you're going to have systems to allow it to survive when you're not there or when you're on holiday on your yacht, right, Festus? So, you know, we have to have these systems. And when I look at big business, I was talking to a potential coaching client the other day, and I was saying that when you look at these big businesses, they are big and they are massive and they make millions because they have these systems in place. They have spent years, decades, centuries even in some cases, ironing out these processes. And so, you know, I always tell young people, when you go into an office and you leave, they replace you.
Because
the business doesn't fall apart because you're gone. They have a system. Marcia, you've been waiting very patiently. Give us your tip or tips for what you think. Doesn't have to be about your business, but something for the people out there who are thinking about customer service. They're thinking about processes. They're thinking about maybe just doing something diverse.
Right. Okay. So my tips are going to be based around how did I start cakes?
Good.
I got made redundant, so I was at home. So this is about 10 years ago. I was at home. What do I do? What do I like doing? So I started making cakes. As a result, I found something within cakes that I liked doing best. It turned out to be making handbag and shoe cakes. So what did that then move on to? That moved on to making shoes, because that's what I liked making. So I made shoes. That progressed to showing people in the cake industry how to make shoes. So I produced a byproduct, which was a shoe kit. So then that plateaued. So what do I do next? Okay, so I don't want to make shoes no more. Don't want to make cakes no more. What is it I like doing best? I just loved to make shoes. So then that went into leather shoes. So where I'm at today and what I'm saying to people is, if you are working from home, find something that you enjoy doing. No matter how much somebody may tell you, oh, you're very good at that, you're very good at that. No, you stick with in your spirit what you like doing. That will then keep you happy, at peace, and be able to diversify and move on and progress. So my tip is also as well, there is 24 hours in a day. 24 hours a day. What are you doing towards your business during this 24 hours? 8 hours sleep, 10 hours towards your work. Always continue to do something in the business, because one thing leads to another thing and another thing. So the other tip is always do things 100%. I say this because when you do things at 100%, it is going to make you a leader, and it's going to make you the best at what you can do. When somebody comes along and looks at your work, they're going to say, wow, listen to what people say about your product. If the word wow comes out of your mouth, that means that you have got something good. So as I am speaking today, I have got collaborations coming my way. I didn't have to look very far for these collaborations. It's because I do my work at 100%. Thank you.
Big things. Yes. So I don't know, Jamaica, I might not understand that, but that's what we are called big things. Festus, for your translation, sir, that's
I
what
can listen.
large things.
No.
Very large things, sir.
Hey, I don't know. I'm trying to. I get it. I can speak the lingo, man. I'm good.
Oh, Zina, do you want to give us your tips?
Yes. So my first tip is keep your clients front and center. Someone asked earlier, is a client always right? Yes, they are always right, but you are the expert in your field, and you can give them guidance if they're going a little bit, if they're becoming a bit unsafe. So for example, my client might want to have a diamond encrusted casket, and I think it's my responsibility to say to them, I'm not sure how practical that's going to be. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you have to be horrible to your client, but if you're in a position of expertise, you should be able to give them that guidance. Keeping the client front and center doesn't mean doing things for free either. If you know that your client is going to need a certain standard of service, then there is going to be a financial aspect to that service. And your items, your products, your services need to be priced in a way that can afford to deliver the service you want to deliver. So you cannot deliver premium service at bargain basement prices. It's just not possible. Something will have to be cut off. A corner will need to be clipped off. I'm not saying have real high prices. I'm not saying have real low prices. If you put in your customers first, and I think it might have been V who said, know your customer. If you know your customer, you will know how to price your products in a way that is competitive and will attract them and will afford you, put you in a position to deliver a really good service that looks good and is sharp and means you can employ people who are educated and who have a high standard and can carry your business forward with the client front and center. So that's the first. That's the first
one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one. Keep your clients front and center. The second one is that self-care is mandatory and is part of your responsibility as an adult. So beyond owning a business, beyond being a wife, a mother, a sister, a brother, a nephew, an uncle, whatever, as an adult, you have a responsibility to look after yourself, your mental health, your physical health. Set that as an example to the people you lead in your business. Set that as an example as the people you mix with in your home and wider friend and family circles. Set that as an example to your local and wider communities. Children need us to take care of them. When we cross the threshold and become adults, we need to take care of ourselves. It's not a luxury. It's not selfish. It's a responsibility that adults have. And if you take care of yourself, you will also be supporting your business. Being overloaded, trying to work, regular 16-hour days, burning yourself out, you will not be sustainable as a business. You will not. You have to look after yourself before you look after your business. And like I say, it is not a luxury, it is mandatory.
You know what? I'm just so glad that it's Festus who has to go next and not me. Because there's somebody who just called you a queen on the back of that. So take a sip and take a bow. Festus, beat that.
Well, I can be called a queen as well anytime. I'll take it.
Okay.
No, well, I'll just tell a very, very brief story in my case. And the main advice that I want to give anyone is dare to try. Yes. Don't be afraid, because fear is a real crippling factor, even in setting up a business or in growing a business. A couple of years ago, at the very depth of the recession we had after the financial crisis 2007-8, I wanted to grow my business. I was desperate to use that opportunity. I'm sorry if that sounds crude, to see if I can take advantage of what was going around me. And so I decided to start chasing a contract that I'd been chasing before the financial meltdown. And this was going to, if it happened, catapult my company, basically turn over, threefold what it was turning over at the time. And this was a major contract that was going to be in the top end of a six-figure contract. So I spent my time doing my research on these clients. I found the top guy in the company. I won't name the company. I kept trying to call him, but I couldn't get through the secretary. And then one day I found this guy on LinkedIn. I did lots of research. I got all his details. And I called the office again, and I just said, can I speak to this person by the first name?
I need the bill, please.
Can I talk to can I talk to this person by the first name? The same secretary that had said he's not available 2 weeks before put me straight through to him, right? I had been trying to get a hold of this guy for 3 years. Yeah, I kept getting passed through to all these area supervisors. Anyway, I got through the guy's telephone number, and he was not in the office because he's the top guy. He's the top guy in this cinema chain. And then on his voice message, he had his mobile number on there. It was urgent. Guess what I did? I called his mobile number.
All right.
What's the worst that can happen? I've been on this for 3 years, right? So I called him up on his mobile, and it was like, oh, you know what? I think I might have heard about you. Rubbish, he hadn't. And I said, look, this is what I do. I already provide other services to the same company, my services to similar companies in the same industry. I think I'm good. We're good at what we do. I'd like to meet you. He said, well, actually, perfect time for calling because we've just taken on a new procurement manager and we're looking to consolidate our national service provision. We currently have 10 providers. We want to bring it down to 1. Chances are we're going to go with one of the 10 that we already have. But if you want to meet this guy, you can arrange to meet him. I'm like, yeah, of course. So of course I went to meet the guy. Honestly, before I got to the meeting, this guy had done his background checks on my company. He had checked HMRC, checked my company, everything was up to date. He knew about me. The guy even knew about my politics because I have that background as well.
Which we're not going to discuss.
Which we're not going to discuss. But the guy even knew who I was. He knew who I was. But as I got into the room, the guy was like, listen, I only have one thing to ask you, right? Can you take over all of our contracts? I don't want to go for a regional arrangement. I don't want to go for London. No, I want someone who's going to take over the whole country. And I'm talking Scotland, Wales. He even mentioned some part of England that I had never heard before. Guess what I said?
Of course I can.
Yes. So, and just like that, but the thing is that we were able to negotiate a staged takeover of all the contracts. So over a 3-month period, I was able to take over the whole lot. And we're talking about a top end 6-figure contract. And that was 10 years ago, right? So what I'll say to anyone who's listening is, please, please, please don't be afraid to try. Yes, you might fail. It might not work out, but persistence has got a huge amount of value in business. Persistence is worth its weight in gold. So, and those of us who are in here who have been running a business for years and years, they'll tell you about that. You're going to get knocked by the banks. You're going to get knocked by some government scheme. You're going to get knocked by a client. You just got to keep going. Just keep going, and it will work out. So if you can, just have that in your mindset that no matter what happens, I'm going to keep going. And if I have to talk to the Queen, I'll find a way. If I have to talk to the Prime Minister, I'll find a way. If I have to talk to Paul, I'll find a way. So that's what I'm going to say.
Look, man, look, I didn't think you could top it. I'm just going to say you matched. Yeah, the feedback we're getting online is awesome. People seeing the value of stuff like LinkedIn. Yeah, if you're in business and a certain type of business, you're trying to negotiate to get away from the very hyper low of Facebook and Twitter and that. But if you want to go for the business on certain types of business, LinkedIn is definitely the place to be. And there's someone online called Stella da Silva who is really applauding what you said on that topic. It's funny because just the other day I was talking to people about us as a people being risk adverse. We're so afraid to take a chance, even down to the level of saying to someone, I'd like to talk to you about my business. Even that, and as Festus has said, and I'm not going to repeat everything he said because it was biblical. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
The absolute worst is they say, I'm not interested. And you are no worse off than you were 10 seconds before. In fact, you're actually better off because you know who not to talk to.
Yeah.
Yep. So, taking a risk and making a chance of it, and making a go of it. Mix that with what Marcia said about putting your 100% into it so that when you do get that little opening, you're hitting that opening with 100%. That's what's going to make the difference. And so the lady with the MBE, is over to you for your tip. One tip. We're already gone over the time and I still have to wrap up. So and none of you all sit there smiling with me like you think that's going to make an inch of difference. One tip.
Thanks, Paul. One of the mantras that I live by, right, and my mantra kind of changes in different seasons of my life. But over the last 4 years, I've been really quite focused on intentionally increasing my capacity for more. I'll say that again, intentionally increasing my capacity for more. And so my tip for, your followers, people watching this broadcast, is be intentional about your thinking strategies. Be intentional about your thinking strategies. I've learned that through the course of running my business for the last 25 years, and even as I explore my own personal development in that time frame, and making the observations of those members of people who are on my team. When I'm intentional about increasing my capacity for more, I'm able to do bigger, better, faster, wiser, stronger things. All of those things have a massive impact on my business. My thinking strategies, I can't continue to think, COVID or no COVID, I can't continue to think the same way that I did 25 years ago. I've got to take everything up another level. I've got to take it up another level because the season has changed. The criteria of how we do business has changed. So I'd encourage your broadcasters, your watchers, Paul, to think about what does the bigger picture look like? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Put some metrics in place so that you can understand, or you can see what progress looks like. When you've got those metrics in place, it could be as simple as how much do I want my business to turn over in the next 12 months, the next 3 years, the next 5 years, a short-term, mid-term, and a long-term goal. When you put those things in place, it tells you default what you need to do. It tells you by default the skill that you need. If you're saying, I want my business to be bringing in 100K a month, then you've got to look at what type of skills do I need? What type of people do I need? I don't know who said it earlier on that sometimes we try to do everything in our business. You got to ask yourself the serious question: on my own, can I make my business bring in 100K a month? Because it might be worth paying somebody the 30K or the 35K, 40K per year in order for you to bring that in per month. That's simple. That sounds like good business to me. If I can pay somebody 40K per year in order for my business to bring in 100K a month, that's good maths, and my maths isn't good, right? And so that's what I'd encourage people to do. Be a bit more strategic about their end game. Make those right strategic alliances. And sometimes, you know, one of the big lessons that we've learned a very long time ago is that 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Yeah. 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. When you've got that 10%, that's as good as getting your foot through the door. I think Marcia said it earlier on, you focus on your customer service skills and make them love you, make them want your service, add so much value that they don't want you to leave. They will do anything to make you stay. We've been in business for 25 years because we've been able to apply those strategies. We've been able to apply those principles of allowing people to shine sometimes brighter than me. I don't have a problem with that. I can work on another business idea. That's 1 minute.
That's not 1 minute. Stop it. Look, guys, it has been absolutely fantastic. And if I'm looking at the sort of feedback we're getting in the chat, then I think me saying it's been absolutely fantastic is not an exaggeration in any way, shape, or form. I think what's important is that we've had a great conversation about a range of bits and pieces which concern business directly. And that's what we wanted to do. You know, we moved off the whole COVID thing because, as we've all said, it's going to pass. And so what I'd like you all to do now, and I'm going to start with V because I know pot the fire. Yeah, I'm never going to let that go, V. I'm never going to let that go. Yeah, forever. And all I want to know is when the COVID is down, do I get an invite? Yeah. Don't laugh. Even you're on mute, I can see you laughing. So V, closing remarks, please.
Well, my biggest kind of lesson that I share to everyone really is around just listening and listening into yourself. So if you're a business owner working on your own, and even if you do manage a team, just as Fessa said, dare to try, but also listen to yourself, because some of us are not in the right headspace to be pushing forward and trying to do all things, all singing, all dancing. For some of us in this time, we really do need to be still. And, you know, a lot of us are chasing shiny objects right now. And yes, for some of us, doing courses will be a really good idea. I would really encourage that. You know, networking online would be a great idea. But there are a select few of us that really should be taking this time to sit back and reflect. review our business, look at what we're trying to do, because now may not be a really good time for you to be being out there if your head isn't in the right space. So I think that would be what my advice is. You know, you've had really good feedback today from everybody. As I said, in my capacity as a brand and marketing coach, I do help business owners to actually get out there and be visible. But even with visibility, you know, if you're not in the right headspace, if you're not comfortable getting out of your comfort zone, you know, it's not advised for you to do that until you are. And sometimes that is about the inner work, you know, the mental side of it, as well as, you know, the promotional side. So I would just say to people that are watching today, don't rush it. Look at where you are and really analyze what you need to do before taking action.
And that's certainly one of the advantages of the current situation, and certainly what I have done. You know, the businesses are doing what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
Those 19 days of no revenue were actually 19 days where I had an opportunity to sit down and think. I had an opportunity to sit down and think about the website, what other bits and pieces I needed to clear up on it, and what other products I want to bring out in the near future. So yeah, you know, sometimes you just need that space, that time. Marcia, your closing remarks, please.
Okay, so just adding to what Via's just said, I want to highlight the word overwhelming. What does overwhelming mean? Overwhelm could be or maybe ideas just spinning around and around in your head to the point where you're stuck. You don't know where to start. So you always start with the easiest thing that will make you feel comfortable. As you start with your easiest thing, then you move along to the next thing. And that's how you release all the ideas and so on and thoughts in your head. In closing, my name is Marcia Brown of Marcia Brown Footwear, and I can be contacted by email through info@marciabrownfootwear.com.
And I'm trying to pretend I'm a stenographer and that I'm able to write that down at the same speed at which you said it. And so here I am now talking to you as if I'm actually talking sensibly, when what I'm really doing is typing the email address into the feed. Don't laugh at me, man. Look, my grandfather had a friend, called Eddie Nestor. They went to school together, and Eddie's a professional at this. So stop laughing, Festus. He
You're mean.
No, you're right. It was my great grandfather. Well, I've done it. So Zena, over to you. Closing remarks, please.
Okay, my closing remark is make a plan on your business and work on it every single day. When you hit procrastination, you're likely hitting a challenge. So chunk it and work on that stumbling block for 30 minutes a day, and you will be through it sooner than you know. I've got a couple of business details, and Paul, that's cool. I'm gonna copy it and paste it into the feed. So
thank you.
So that's my stuff. If you guys need me, you'll be able to get my contact details from those websites there.
Perfect. Oh, you see, it just appeared as if by magic. Comfort, closing remarks.
Yes, so before I just remind people who I am, I just want to say there was one tip. I know you said we were done, but I'm just trying to slide it in neatly.
Go right ahead.
One thing I've noticed since COVID started is the businesses, specifically food-related businesses, who are now bringing their services to the masses in ways that they've never had volume before. So people who do food boxes, people doing fresh meat and vegetables, those types of businesses have switched to people sharing WhatsApp messages. Amazing, great. People are mobilizing, they're getting shared, people are getting lots of feedback, but then the customer experience has been disastrous. You send somebody a message, they're telling you, they said it's going straight to their voicemail. The voicemail says, leave a message. Not when they're going to get back to you. It doesn't give you any information. If you are one of those types of businesses and this whole thing is new to you in doing business in this way, speak to a professional, I beg. Ask people, what information should you be sharing? You should have a contact number. You should have a message that tells people when they can expect to hear back from you. You should share your opening hours. If you know you don't take orders on the weekend. Don't tell people to leave a message and you'll get back to them as soon as possible. That's a lie. I've called you Friday afternoon. I'm not going to hear from you till Monday. Let me know that. Manage my expectations. And also, don't expect people to pay you cash when they're in isolation and they can't leave their yard. Where are people finding cash? You need to find a way to take their money. Do you want their money or not? Take card payments. I can help you. So my closing remarks are, if you need help.
Oh, those weren't them?
No, that was an add-on from earlier. If you need help trying to work out and navigate, I want to do this. I want to be able to still do business. I'm just not sure how. And the financial implications of that are a little bit daunting. Have a conversation with me and I will talk you through it. I won't charge you, complimentary conversation, 20 minutes to half an hour. I'm happy to do that. Paul has shared the link, I think, to my diary. You can look in there, choose a slot that works for you. It's an automated setup. So you'll get an email back from me that sounds very personal. It's not me. I set it up long time. I'm in my yard watching Netflix. But you will get a message that invites you and tells you what to do, how to access the call, and that we're going to speak and what to expect on the call. And then when you get to the call, it will be me, it won't be a machine. You'll be really speaking to me. And I can talk you through your specific business and how best to approach the situation, how you can take money from people and how you can deliver your services in a way that is efficient and doesn't get you slagged off on Facebook. Because nobody needs that. In this time, nobody needs bad press. You do not need people telling you, oh, this was a really great service. And then I signed up for it and I got voicemail and no one called me back. And then when I called them back, they said, oh yeah, we don't go that far. We don't do that. We don't go there. Call someone else. Or telling me, yeah, you can deliver. Where do you deliver? I deliver in London. What part of London? I don't know. Where are you? I'm in South Norwood. Oh no, we don't deliver there. Why are you wasting my time? So anyway, it's not a ranting session, it's closing remarks. So my name has been, I am Sidel Stewart, otherwise known as Comfort, as Paul calls me, because that used to be a performance name. It's now my middle name by law, but anyway. And you can reach me at Onic Communications. I do have a website, but I've taken it down because I'm working on it during this time. So you won't find any information. You can find me on LinkedIn, Sidel Stewart. I'm also on all other social media platforms, Sidel Stewart. Yeah, find me. Let's talk, and let me help you up your game. That is,
you know what, just the calendar booking system is one of those systems that Sidel talks about. Yeah. And when you have a very busy portfolio, you got lots of stuff going on, then it is important that you automate some of your processes. Sidel can't take the time to be talking to everybody who wants to talk to her. I'm sure she sort of filters out.
No, I can, because that's reflected in my real diary. So when you find the time, you find the time. If I'm not free, it's because I'm working.
That's right, and that's what they're talking about systems. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Should I go to Claudine or Festus? I'm going to go to Claudine. I want Festus to have the last word.
So, in terms of my closing words, I'd like to just direct the viewers to my YouTube channel. I'm on most social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, but on my YouTube channel, I've been recording a couple of series on developing your thinking strategies. And that's what I found has helped me the most. The more I have needed to make my business more robust, the more I needed to systemize my business and make it less about me. So this is not only about COVID, because I shared earlier on, had major health challenges. The more I make my business not about me, it's able to function at its full capacity without me. So I'd like to direct your viewers, Paul, to check out my YouTube channel. There's a couple of videos on there around creative thinking, around big picture thinking, around focus thinking, around strategic thinking. I've got a couple more coming out every Monday for the next couple of weeks. Plug into them, take whatever notes that you need in order to build your capacity so that you can intentionally have more for your family, more for your community, more for yourself.
Wow. This is twice in a row, Festus, you got this big mountain to climb, but we know you're up for it. Go for it, sir. You're closing.
I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to. No, well, look, it's been really great, joining, all of you and being able to participate in this. I think it's been really, really informative for me as well. One thing I'll just say, I'll repeat similarly to what I said earlier on, and I think V will be very happy about this in terms of consistency in messaging. The concept of daring to try is something that I will double down on. It is all well and good, folks listening to something like this, and you feel very empowered, you feel excited, and then you click off whatever it is and back to same old, same old. And unless you actually do something, nothing ever happens. You know, no book ever gets written unless someone starts writing it, right? So, and I think as a community, we have to realize that the Microsofts of this world, the Facebooks of this world, the Twitters of this world, they started from somewhere, and everything starts with an idea. But for me, what is actually more difficult than coming up with an idea is actually doing something with the idea in the first place. But once you get over, and I think success, people keep saying breeds success. It's no surprise that once you're doing well, people want to know you, and then doors are open, but you've got to start somewhere, and you never know unless you try. And the only way of something ever not happening is by you doing nothing. So I would just say, please just dare to try. Just keep doing it, just keep going. You've got lots of resources around you. Paul knows everything and everyone. You know, if you need to get a hold of me, for example, by all means, he's got my permission to give you my details. And I'm all about trying to see whatever I can to help anyone who needs my help. So good job, Paul, by the way, well done.
Yeah, you know, thank you. I think the key thing I want to mention, we've been doing these shows. I keep saying I've been doing these shows for the past 6 weeks, and I've had probably approaching 20, 30 guests on it over the time. And no one I've ever approached has said no. Yep, maybe they can't do it because they're busy doing whatever else they need to do, but no one has said no. I would say almost to a T, everyone has said yes instantly. No one has sort of asked me that. And I think when we're talking about business, for the people who are out there thinking about doing a business, they're stuck wherever they are. They're young because, you know, one mother said she's watching it with her daughter and how inspired she was by the words that she's hearing coming from people that look like her. Very important point. That's what I'm grateful about with this talk today. Far too often, the vibe is that we don't have people who look like us out there doing stuff, that we don't have people out there who are doing stuff diverse and doing stuff effectively. That's just not the truth. You know, I will always talk about the organization I'm a part of called Team. Team is where I got the link to Marcia. I know V is a member of Team. I know Zena and Peter are part of Team. And I have had the opportunity to meet some fantastic Black business people in a wide range of businesses. And I make no apologies for saying there's a reason why I am so focused on Black business, because that's how you build a community. So sure, I'm about building my bank account as well, but it also allows me to build a community. Revolutions do not take place out of poverty. They take place because someone is financing. Yep. And that's how I look at being a Black business person. I'm very, very proud of the group of people who came to today. I don't know about you, but I just had this feeling this should be a conference. You know, we should be charging £600 a head for people to come in and listen to Festus talk after Zena, because, you know, we know. But look, guys, thank you so much for your time on a Sunday. I didn't tell you, I should have told you that on one of our first ones, someone was happily eating her fried dumplings because it's that time of a show. So we're actually quite cool. And the people out there have really appreciated it. And so do I. So I won't keep you any longer. We've gone half hour over our time, but this is what we can do when we do it ourselves. Yeah, we're not really bound by anybody else. We can talk freely and do stuff. And I'll say this to all the people listening. Do contact the people on this call if you feel anything they have said has inspired you or any of the services they provide can assist you. It doesn't have to be that you want to buy their service. It could be that they can offer you some advice. They had some sage advice on this call, which quite frankly, if you had to pay for it, might rock some over pocket. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to say that I have learned so much from this call, some of the stuff I knew before, but more importantly, I've been reminded. And I'm going to close just by saying one of the last things, which is what Festus just said. There is no point in you walking away from this call feeling all psyched up and you go back to doing the same old, same old. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.